All right, welcome back to Behind the Bench. We have a Gopher special today. Ethan Fabel, Chris Paulzine here. We have a lot to talk about. Talk about the upcoming season, a lot of what ifs with everything going on with COVID, with all the transfers. There's just a lot of uncertainty right now. So we'll just dive in right here. The biggest thing right now is waiting on both Gach's transfer process right now, having the Gophers in the top five. Fabs, what do you think about both Gach, his game, and who he's going to choose heading into the 2021 season?
All right, so I'll talk about his game first. He will help us out. I mean, we're kind of getting weak at the wings. I mean, we were stronger there last year, I feel like, and then if we get him though, we might bring that back up. His shooting isn't there, unfortunately. I mean, you can never have more than enough shooters, but he's a great defender. He's a very active Minnesota guy. Really with what you're left out there, I mean, there's not a lot. And he was testing out the NBA water. So I mean, there wasn't interest there. I mean, there's still people talking to him when he went back, but he's a good player. I mean, if we get him, he'll probably start. I would say next to Gabe, and I mean, I expect him a big year. I mean, he's Austin's finest. Austin down in southern Minnesota. He's a Minnesota boy, and I think he'd help us all a lot. For us, I think we have a really good chance of getting him. From what I've heard, is he's going to have to transfer and do like the whole transfer protocol. So really, like, his best chance would be to play next year. Would be to get a waiver for the coronavirus, for the COVID-19, and say like, you want to move back home, be close to the family. That's what it sounds like some of these players are going to start doing for like transfer wise. And so really, I think I'm not saying he's for sure going to Minnesota, of course, but I think we for sure have the inside track just in that he's going to have the best case to build to be able to play it right away next year if he comes home by his family and comes to Minnesota.
Yeah, I agree. I think coming back home would be a great opportunity for him to play right away next season compared to if he went to a Maryland or somewhere else in his final five schools. I think he would have tons of playing time. The Gophers have a huge need at that 3 spot. They need size. Daniel gone. He's got good length. And I think along with Isaiah Enan, who I'm a huge fan of, I think that he would fit right in right away. He could play. Patino loves to play starters big minutes. He'd be playing 30 minutes a game right out of the gate. And it really could decide whether this Gopher team could be a contender or not, with many other factors going on, with even the rest of the transfers and Marcus Carr's situation right now. But it would be one of the biggest gets. The Gophers didn't offer him out of high school. So I think that it's hard to say when you have a Minnesota player have Minnesota Gophers in their final five. Sometimes it seems like just kind of like a respect shout out, just I'm considering you guys. I don't want you guys to be mad, and then they pick a different school. But all else considered, playing time and being able to play right away. I know he's got NBA dreams. He was in the NBA portal, the NBA draft class. He entered his name in, withdrew it, and is looking to try and make that leap next year, I would say. You have anything else you want to add about Mr. Gach?
I think if we do get him, I think he kind of has something to prove. I mean, I think it rubbed him the wrong way I think he did want to go to Minnesota. I mean, he'll do a little bit of it if you look at. I know the Starch made a huge article about him last summer, and he was like he really liked the Gophers in Minnesota. So I think there's a little bit of chip on his shoulder. I think if he does come back to say like, hey, you guys should have offered me to me, but hey, you believe me now, and and playing in front of your family, playing in front of where he's seen the barn when he was younger, he's seen Target Center, he's seen those places, he's seen the city. So just being comfortable being here, I mean, last year you averaged 10.7. He shot 39% from the field. He shot 25 from three-pointer. I mean, I would expect all those numbers to go up. I mean, I'm not saying maybe shooting wise you could say maybe be the same, but I just think more opportunity being home, being more comfortable, I would expect all those numbers to go up.
Yeah, I think another year too. He's just seemed he has that build. He has the motor to be someone special and someone who can play in the NBA. I think that playing in a Power Five conference for the Gophers would be huge for him. And now, another thing, the Gophers have just been a revolving door these last few months with transfers coming in, guys leaving. Again, it just adds to the uncertainty. On the same day that Brandon Johnson comes in, power forward from Western Michigan, uh, Peyton Willis decides to leave, grad transfer. There's just not a whole lot of continuity right now. With all that being said, what do you think of Brandon Johnson? How he'll fit in this Gopher team?
I think Brandon's going to be a really good get for us because if you look at our roster right now, it's very thin front court, very thin. Just, I mean, he's mid-major player, but still, I mean, we're going to need him and we're going to have to rely on him, especially if Robbins doesn't get his transfer over. I mean, he's really our only legitimate big man besides Curry, who's, he's injury prone. He's coming off a lot of injuries. You can't expect him to be back playing a bunch of times. So, I mean, Johnson's going to have to be a guy averages, 30, 35 minutes a game. I mean, I could see him kind of being like Carr last year, where it's like he doesn't get off the court sometimes. And that's just the way it's going to have to be with how this team is built. But, he's a good guy. I mean, he can shoot it too. He's not a great 3-point shooter, but if you leave him open at the elbow or the free throw line, he's going to pop it down. So you're going to have to at least guard him pretty honestly out there. And he just, brings that grit that I don't think a lot of Gopher post players in the past have had.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially offensively. I think his IQ's off the charts. He's always moving around. He's a hard guy to stick with defensively. He's a bit smaller, but he's still a really tenacious rebounder for his size when he's out there. So I think offensively he'll be a lot of fun for Gopher fans to get behind. And I really think that he'll be a starter out of the gate at the 4 spot. And again, we're just hoping Liam Robbins can get that hometown, I guess, the family waiver with Coach Conroy being his uncle. So the Gophers haven't been very fortunate with the waivers in the Patino era, but I really think that, man, how could they not? We need a center. We do, to be competitive, and he's really our only chance at that right now. What do you think about Liam?
I like Liam a lot. I think his offensive game might not be there, but we don't really need that. If Johnson can show out, if Carr comes back and show out, Gabe is going to be there. If we can get, Gach and we can get those guys that get buckets, then Robinson has to really focus on the offense. I mean, he led the NCAA in blocks last year. I mean, right there, enough is, he is an enforcer down low, especially in the NCAA when there's no defensive 3-second call. He can just camp out right down there in the lane all day. He's a 7-footer and just block whatever comes his way. So I mean, I think he's really big for us, and I think that would be huge if we can get him. But I guess my question to you is if Robbins does not get his waiver granted, would you think the Gophers would go undersized and start Johnson at 5 and then start, Isaiah at the 4, or do they keep Johnson at the 5 and Freeman and Mitchell fight for the 5? I mean, Freeman and Mitchell are very raw, and I haven't seen, a lot of either of those two, so I don't know if they could pull that off. I think we'd probably play undersized.
Yeah, I think we would too. Enan really came around when Isaiah played last year. It was like, where's this guy been? But just reading everything about him, it's like, okay, he's really came a long way throughout the season in practice. He really developed, especially that Illinois game last year. It was really close when we were in Champaign, and he just was hitting shots, running the floor, playing great defense. And I think that, I mean, he's got a good size for a 4 as well. I don't think there'd be a huge problem. He's a good paint defender too. He's got really long arms, so I think you could get away with that early in the season, especially non-conference schedule, I think you could have that smaller lineup for sure. And man, even in the Big Ten, when things, the game slows down and everything, uh, I think the Gophers are going to want to push the ball. I think they're going to want to go against the grain a little bit in the Big Ten, try and push the ball. I know that's a far cry from what happened last year with us, but I think that's their best chance of winning games if Robbins is out. So with that being said, though, small sample size with Freeman. Really haven't seen Mitchell at all. He's just got the size though, so I think if Curry's not playing either, he'll be getting 12 to 13, 14 minutes a game off the bench, regardless. So if that's the case, though, I don't think we win more than 8 games in the Big Ten next year. But again, we have more to discuss, and I think that is a good bridge leading to our point guard issue with Marcus Carr. What do you think Marcus is going to stay in the draft, or do you think he's going to come back? We'll start with that right out of the gate.
On a normal year, I would probably say I'd be like, 25% chance he's leaving, 75% chance he's staying. But just in the COVID-19, with everything that's going on, if you're getting drafted, if you're one of these guys that you're thinking about leaving school and you might come back, you're getting drafted in the late second round, and it's by a team that saw you work out, knows you fit their role, and knows you fit their team and their whole character and their whole motto. So for me, with this all that's going on, if Marcus Carr can't do any, you can maybe do like an interview like we're doing right now through Zoom. But at the end of the day, if you can't be in the gym in front of that GM, in front of that coaching staff, showing them what you have and how you can fit in their team, it's hard for some of those guys to get those promises that I'm gonna leave school. And so really for me, I think he's coming back. I think what's really tough for us though is just Marcus Fuller was talking about in Star Tribune the other day is they pushed the date back to like I think it's in August 10th or 11th. Like that's where school is starting in some of those guys in some of those colleges. So like that's really tough if come August 8th you still have a decision from Marcus Carr and you're Richard Pitino. Well, if he does leave, well, what are you gonna do? You can't just go out and get someone. That's too late. And so then we're gonna be. I mean, I like Mashburn Jr. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so I like him a lot, but he's not Marcus Carr. And I know Marcus Carr had his ups and downs last year, but you look at his numbers and look what he did. If we want to get to the NCAA tournament, which is a goal, obviously, we need Marcus Carr. It's that simple.
Yeah, no question. And going back to what you said about the waiver or the date being pushed back to August for those to remove your name from the draft, I think the U of M announced that June 21st they're going to bring back the basketball team to kind of resume workouts and such. So they're going to have a gap of time where the team's not going to have their leading point guard, which could really put the team back, in practice and leading into the season chemistry wise. My personal opinion on Marcus Carr in the draft, I compare him so closely to former Gopher Nate Mason. Just the way they play. They're scoring point guards who have that good balance of, moving the ball. They're not playmaker, they're not flashy passers, but they're great scorers and they're adequate shooters. And looking at Nate Mason is in the G League right now, and he's putting up great numbers, and he looks like he's improved a ton. So if I'm an NBA team looking for immediate help at the point guard position, it's like, for example, I'm probably taking Nate Mason over, a two-way contract with someone who hasn't played in the G League at all and, is coming off, this Gopher season. And I don't know. I think it'd be wise for Marcus to come back. And I think it'd be great for the Gophers. And again, I don't think there's much of a chance for success if the Gophers don't have Marcus at the point guard spot heading into the season.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things. And I also saw today the NCAA announced that for basketball at least that I think early next week they're having meetings to decide if they will allow, because right, like you said, they have like U of M allowed players to come back. I know they can work out individually, but I'm pretty sure you cannot work as a team and with the coaches. And so I know that NCAA is talking about next week about allowing like the first week of July, opening up for everyone, and then you can have full practices, which is big for the Gophers. We need that because, like you said, it's a revolving door. We have so many new guys, if it's transfers, if it's recruits. I mean, if we can't literally practice till August, and we're already so far behind than everyone else is with how many new players we have. I mean, we need most time. We need more time, and so July. I mean, that's going to be, and there's a lot of teams. And there's not just the Gophers. There's a lot of teams that are looking at that really want to, and that's another thing that's going to be interesting is if the NCAA says, hey, you guys can go back in July. How many of these coaches are going to start pressuring some of these fringe NBA guys that, hey, we're going, you need to come back or make a decision, or we might go a different. I don't think some team will go a different direction because there's not a lot of great recruits out there. But at the same time, I mean, you can only plan for so long, and you can only, if you sit there with your pants down to your ankles and you don't have a plan for it, it's not going to look good for the season. So I mean, you need to figure something out with that. So I mean, there's just a lot of. It's just at the end of the day for the Gopher season. I feel like a lot of things rely on the NCAA, and NCAA has let me down years and years and years. So it's just
Yep.
like I'm very pessimistic about it, but same time too, I'm a Minnesota fan, so I'm optimistic as well.
Yeah, and I think you're being realistic about the situation too, just with the history of the NCAA in general. I think it's not pessimistic at all to have those doubts. I think it's just that's the honest truth of how things are going to go. So we'll just cover a couple more things, just two more things I want to get your thoughts on. If you have to pick the rotation now, what you think it's going to be, what you think the rotation, starting lineup, and then the bench, who will come off the bench and actually play more than, 3-4 games in the year. I want to, get your thoughts on that. And then also the job security of Richard Pitino.
So I think I'll start with job security. I think really with just how the football team has performed and from Coyle's comments after last year about wanting to be a championship and fighting for championships, I really think it's got to be Turney or bust again. It can't. I think even NIT he's out. It's got to be Turney, and so that's why I think for the rotation wise, I think I think it's gonna be Carr point guard. I think he's coming back. Shooting guard, you got Gabe. I think we end up getting Gach, so I think he'll be a 3. At 4, I think Johnson, and I think Robbins also gets his waiver. So I think Robbins is the 5. And I think that's best case scenario for us in our starting. And then for me, bench wise, I just Mashburn Jr. He has a lot of clout around him, and I think he's gonna get a lot of playing time. Especially Carr played so much last year, and he's great in a lot of aspects, but he did get tired. And at the end of games, he started turning over the ball.
That Purdue game was tough to watch.
Exactly. So I think, and the more and more I looked at when I first saw Mashburn, I was thinking this is a very good shooting guard. But the more and more I watch this film, he's a combo guard. And he had the ball a lot at Brewster at this last year, where he played a couple years there. So I think he'll get a lot more time coming in at either playing the 2 with Carr or playing the 1 with Carr sitting down, giving him a breather. So I think he's going to be maybe our 6th man already, even as a freshman. I think Isaiah will come in as the next guy off the bench, our first big. After that, on Curry's health, assuming Curry's healthy, I think him and Mersa.
I think for me that ship has sailed.
Yeah, that's what I think too. But at the same time too, if you can get even 75% of what he was at his peak,
it's better than Jarvis.
Yeah, it's better than Mersa. I like Mersa. I do like him.
I do too. He's
athletic
a great
and
teammate, and he's got great energy.
Yeah,
man, it's 2 years and he still looks like he doesn't know what's going on out there half the time. Sorry, Jo, but I don't mean to hate, but that's just being honest right now.
Yeah, and it's really hard with the bench because there's so many question marks. You got David, the guy from Turkey. He could be really good, but he also didn't play, on the first team. He was in their youth academy. And in Europe, if you're in the youth academy, you're not like playing on the main team. You could be good, but you're not anything to be like a huge role. I like him a lot, but If he was that good, he would have been playing on Freemance's first team, and he'd be possibly going first, second round in the draft. So I mean, I like him, but also too, I mean, he has to prove himself, and so I could definitely see Trey Williams get more time than him to begin the year. But also, depending on shooting, depending if Gabe has another year struggling, he can put those shots down, David. Then I mean, I can see him getting a lot of time. So I think it's really hard to do a bench at the end because even Freeman, like I said, they're like, oh well, Freeman get a lot of playing time, but it's like I can't see a player play. It's hard to really predict what he's gonna do. And I think even for Patino, it's hard to predict what he's gonna do. And I mean, he hasn't really played. And like you can only practice so much against guys, but I mean, practicing against Isaiah or Jarvis, like, ain't preparing you for Purdue, ain't preparing you for Michigan State, ain't preparing you for Michigan. It's not preparing you for Wisconsin. It's not doing that. So you're never gonna know until you actually face them. But I mean, I would have to go Freeman as a backup center at this point, just because there's no other choice.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I don't really have a thumb on Freeman right now. I mean, we just haven't seen enough of him, but I have high hopes for him, along with the rest of our players. I think David Mutaf from Turkey, who you just mentioned, is gonna rely on his shooting to get playing time, just with the amount of athleticism the rest of this team has. If he can be a shooter with Gabe, that's gonna add great depth. But yeah, I think Trey's gonna ball out. I'm I'm feeling it. This is the year. I think he's really gonna emerge. Especially, we don't know if we're even gonna get Gach. We don't know who's gonna be playing, who's not. So yeah, there's a lot of what ifs. But I think best case scenario, that sounds like a great lineup, and that lineup I think can win. I mean, man, that lineup could win 12, 13, 14. We get carried away in the Big Ten, but that's a NCAA starting team, I think.
So let's say we do get Gach and Robbins gets his waiver and Gach gets his waiver and Carr comes back. Would then the 2020, 2021 Gophers, are they a better team than 2019, 2020 Gophers with the Daniel Oturu?
Yeah,
That team
depth.
didn't make, that
If
team wasn't going to make the tourney.
Yeah, no, I think with the depth though, if everyone's playing, I think with the depth, definitely there were just too many. We just didn't have enough capable players last year on the team, and we did lose a lot of close games. We won a lot of close games, but we lost more close ones than I mean, games we should have won too. I think we would be better, especially with the fatigue that showed up. We blew a lot of leads. If you just have more consistency and maybe one or two more guys off the bench, I think it's going to be a better team. But Daniel was awesome for us. I don't see us replacing those numbers, but defensively, Liam can be a Reggie Lynch. I totally could see he's just got to post. He's got to get down there and get his hands up. Get 3-4 blocks a game. I mean, the guy's huge, and he looks mobile too. He looks decently mobile. So winning, yeah. As far as winning goes, I think if everyone's playing, that's the team we throw out there. I think NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think everything goes well and they click, and that's the thing. The talent looks good, and there's a lot of different spots that we filled, luckily. But I guess it goes down to chemistry, I guess too. And I do really think though that I think Patino will be coaching with the urgency because he knows he's coaching for his job, and just I think Carr too. If he comes back, he's gonna get the keys to the car, and I think he's gonna know he's gonna have to play smarter, especially because he's gonna get feedback from the NBA. So I can expect him. He's gonna have to change his game up, and I would expect the NBA is gonna tell him you need to be, protect the ball more. You need to make smart decisions. You need to, at the end of the games, you need to be able to have the ball, and your team needs to know that you're gonna make the plays and you're not gonna give up the game because he did do that a couple times. So I think he has a lot to prove too if he comes back. And so for me, I think if we can get all those guys back, which if I had to put a percent on that, get all those guys, all those waivers, all those transfers, like 25% chance, 20% chance that happens, then I think it's great. But that's like honestly that team, and maybe if we don't get Gach, I could see us still working with like Trey Williams or
Hmm.
putting Mashburn in there. But if we don't get Robbins, if we don't get Gach, if Marcus Carr leaves, like we're not
Yeah,
getting anyone
I think
close.
that's if all three of those things happen, I think it's Patino's last year, and it's unfortunate because it just comes down to luck basically on the transfer waivers. Yeah, I think he'd be gone though. Just I don't think the team would win more than 9 games in the Big Ten.
And it's just and not unfortunate because I mean Patino's had a lot of time, but when you have another program in your same school that's doing great things, and then I mean if you talk to people and you see and you look at like the grassroots of things of what the university has, with how much money the U of M has put in their athletics, athletic village, the stadium updates, the TCF Bank a few years ago, just all the stuff that they've done, they have pushed themselves to say we want to be a top school in the Big Ten. We want to be a top school in the nation. And so for those type of things, like when you're not getting any top 50 recruits ever, and you're not getting these huge, I mean, look at how many Minnesota local stars we've had, and we can never get one of them. I mean, Arturo was our biggest one we got, and he was good, obviously. But I mean, like the Jones brothers. I mean, Hurt's younger brother. I'm just gonna assume Chet Holmgren's gonna be gone. He just got rated #1 in his class. He ain't gonna come
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Minnesota. And so just like, but when you have these athletic village, and you have all these things, you should be able to compete with that. So it's one of those things where it'd be interesting to see because I know the rumors were swirling last year if he wasn't coming back, we were gonna go all in for Baylor's coach, and it'd be interesting to see what Coy would do if he had to hire a new coach. If he'd go young, like kind of like Fleck, young up and coming, or if he's going to be like, you know what, we're going to put some money down and we're going to go and get an already proven coach from another Big Five conference that wants to come to this athletic village, wants to come and knows like I have the tools to make this a top program in the country.
Yeah, it's hard to blueprint that. It worked out so well for the football program. He had a young coach who just turned out to be amazing, turned out to be one of the best coaches in the country. We weren't, I don't think we were getting maybe Les Miles. I mean, we could talk all day about the football program, but again, how many people, proven coaches, do want to come to the barn for the Gopher basketball team? That's slim as it's been shown in past hiring processes. So, um, anyways, at least with that, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks for tuning in to Behind the Bench Sports. We'll keep more content coming your way. Peace.
Peace, ski ma, go Ghosts.
Thank you for watching the Gopher Guys presented by Behind the Bench Sports. Please subscribe, comment, and share. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And as always, go Gophs.